Let's see. Oh, shit. Oh my god, I muted the mic, okay. Okay, I do apologize for that, I've been, like, kinda, like, blabbering on, without a mic, so, that's embarrassing, okay. Uh, kinda, like, talk about it, so I was actually talking about, how, the parks have been breaking down, all these rides, like, such as, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, breaking down, and Uh, it's a new ride. Yeah, I get it. It is definitely a new ride, and the problem is any new rides can break down once in a while too, and even the old rides break down every time, and Big Thunder Mountain Rail is one of my example that every time when I go to the park, yeah, and, out of all out of my life, like, I've only ridden it, like, 3 times for that ride, and I never really got a chance to ride it every time when I go to it, and that is one of those, like, things that breaks down. And another example I wanna, like, kinda bring up is, like, Six Flags, Great Adventure, in New Jersey. I go there, El Toro breaks down a lot, and that alone itself also, I barely have ridden it. Now, if I bring up a new ride, and to be fair, like, Cosmic Rewind was the ride that actually, like, broke down in front of me instead, and, like, hours like, cute I wait, like, 2 to 3 hours on that ride because it kept breaking down in between. Cosmic Rewind, queue line was pretty bad, and, like, that was also, out of control, because you waiting on the queue, there's, like, a line, that was set up, and then eventually, after that, pre-show, they, like, don't have that line, they tell you to just, like, push through, go inside, and then, get to the next area, and that alone itself, start to have witness people cutting in lines, and, you used to be in the front, and all of a sudden, people way behind you have, like, started shoving and then squeezing through, and they are in front of you of the line in front of you, and I think, Cosmic Rewind needs to actually fix that. That alone itself already a problem. Now, Tiana's Bio Adventure, I don't know what the problem is. I have a feeling that, like, the reason why it breaks down is because they only, like, apply, like, these, like, exteriors and the animatronics in there, but I don't think they can, like, legitimately fix the, like, interior of, like, the whole, you know, um, ride right there, so I think that's the reason why it keeps breaking down, and you kinda have to understand, though, because Splash Mountain is a very old ride, and if you're gonna change the whole ride, you should be kinda, like, tearing apart everything to make sure that, you know, your rides are functioning properly, and they didn't really, like, tear everything up and, like, such as, like, electric circuits or whatever to make sure that the animatronics functioning properly, and all these old animatronics, they're technically broken, you see what I mean? Like, they're not broken, but, like, they're technically old. They were meant to be built for old electronics. All of a sudden, like, if you start to change only the exterior part of it, then obviously, that old circuits are not gonna function properly well for, the new animatronics. And I think that became a big problem. And, my, memory of going into Splash Mountain is that all these animatronics were less they're not they don't really move that much comparing to the current, by Adventure animatronics. Like, there's, like, a range of motion limits, and that alone itself was the interior circus for that movie, the former ride itself. And then all of a sudden, if you're only just, like, tearing the exterior part out of the old animatronics into the new one, then I have a feeling that that alone of isn't gonna be able to handle it, and that's where the animatronics starts they just stop functioning, and that, you know the ride starts breaking down, and the cast members has to stop everyone from riding again, and then tell you, "Okay, get off the ride. I'll go back to the front line. Go back to you gotta get out of here." Would be the case right there. Uh, and, you know, that is one of the issue of the Disney park. It's, Magic Kingdom Park itself, and then, I'm looking forward of riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Um, I'm kinda crossing my fingers it's not gonna break down because I'd be really disappointed if that's the case. I've been kinda looking forward to this ride, and, I'm, like, witnessing a lot of uh, braking, stopping in the middle, so, I'm actually excited as a Disney dude, and, I wanna have that full experience, so without breaking down, that's just my only hope right there. Now, let's kinda talk about Epcot because Epcot is actually having, like, the biggest more than I mentioned in my opinion, and that is probably because, as Disney adult, more than any other parks out there, the first thing that Disney adults usually go would be Epcot, none other than Epcot. Why? There's, like, a food and wine festival, there's a World Pavilion that you can go around and eat, the world-themed restaurants, and then there's, like, very beautiful building beautiful, like, decorations of the world. That alone itself is like Epcot has always been kinda, like, futuristic, innovation and immersive, attraction for adults even for, like, kids as well too, obviously, but just I think the whole, uh the food and wine festival was definitely made for the adults, and that definitely one of the reasons why it became, adult thing, and with the whole construction that was going on before, pandemic, I think that was the case that, brought a lot of problems that people were complaining that, this construction was taking forever. With the starting from Moana's, Journey to Water, people already have been complaining about that, asking, like, questions like, "Why do we need this? It doesn't fit at all." I kinda agree to disagree on that only because, the Journey to Water, like, this is the one I doesn't mean it's, like, it doesn't fit at all. The water journey, like, being close to Finding Nemo's, you know, s sea exhibition over there, living with the land, building itself, it kinda fits right there, so for me, I thought it was okay. I never really got a chance to, like, fully experience it because, it was, like, during the Christmas time, 2023, and there were way too many people, like, crowded in there, and I just didn't wanna, like, squeeze myself in and try to experience all those, like, water attractions, while possibly shoving each other's face and, fighting over, like, to, like, play with those waters, so I didn't wanna do that, and that was, like, one of the things right there, and then, you know, like, one is Journey to Water was able to be finished by October, and yeah, there were still buildings around the and that also, like, brought in frustrations between people because there's, like, a building right there, there's people getting go through in the middle, and, I do remember Mickey Views, AKA and was complaining, many other people were complaining about how the center of Epcot, comparing to the concept art, was originally supposed to have a out in the, World Showcase, and they never really installed that. I do believe that is kinda true where they cut the budget and decided to put only, like, flowers and, lights on it. Whether it's disappointing or not, I just can't really say only because, stuff's happened. So and uh, I thought the World Showcase was very beautiful. Yeah, water fountain is not there. That's it's above. Yeah, that's not gonna lie, but if it was something I hate Epcot on, no, I don't think so. I think it's just kinda like it just happened. Now let's kinda talk about community core hall because if you kinda um look at the building, I'm gonna like share this. This is like the biggest complaint that people have been having ever since it was open a couple of weeks ago. Let's see. Okay, there we go. As an exterior, like the concept and during the nighttime where like the lights of the triangles going back and forth with the color changes, I like it. I liked it. But the moment you go inside, it's a different concept. It's a different story, and it's a different story too. Uh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like my reaction was like, this is a big building too. I'm not even sure like what Disney and Epcot had in their mind on yeah, it's like, have they forgotten about like putting money into this park or like what's going on? And I get that this building was like kind of done at almost the same time as the Disney, Disney and was over and the $17 million project was going to be going forward. But even then, like maybe they can like really open this building just as a right, like, probably like hold back on that part of that $17 million project because this interior like has become the biggest disappointment for me specifically, and I don't know what to tell you. Like I don't whose idea was this that they wanted to do this is my it's not even like park themed, and and no parks are actually like this. And I don't know what to tell you. It's like really high area or college area. It feels like I'm back at school again. Uh, and all those chairs and desks are definitely not expensive. They're pretty cheap. Like, just probably buy at like a local like commercial building, furniture stores, you can probably purchase something like that right there. And, if you kinda, like, take a look at it right here, like, all these flags, okay, what are the walls for? Supposed to have some kind of a showcase. That's what that's what somebody was like, it was supposed to have a showcase, it was supposed to have some kind of presentation in between, and they did that for, like, only 1 day, and then all of a sudden, they just, like, kinda, like, I don't know, dropped the ball on people or something. I just can't grasp the idea on why they did this. Like, now well, there's one thing that I gotta say, right? Because, you know, like, there's a, food court, right across, so if you don't have a spot to eat, I guess, this would be the place to eat. But even then, like, if that was the case, why not just make the food court, this community core hall, like, a more neat looking cafeteria is my question. But they didn't do that. They just decided to put, like, throw in the chairs, desks, and restaurants. And I think that's what making people upset because, you know, there's gotta be something in here that's supposed to be in here and there's no placeholder for this. It's, like, literally empty. I don't wanna kinda, like, bash Disney about this too much, but it just feels that, like, they need to something, and I hope that they do with that $17 project 'cause, Epcot is a big park that everyone, like, loves going, and it shouldn't be like this. There was, like, a couple of other, attractions that Epcot was added. Oh, wow, just, like, lag because I sorry about that. So my monitors, tend to, like, go on a screensaver mode if I don't touch any of these, um, monitors. So it goes black screen, I do apologize. It's not broken. But now let's kinda, like, talk about uh, what is it? Like, m not just community core hall, but, the outside, there's, like, a, um, Encanto performance and let's kinda, like, search through this because it's supposed to be a new Encanto show to debut. Um, and what has been happening was that, like, people were kinda, like, bashing the show because it's they're saying that it's not professional, it seems like a very cheap, under budgeted, show that they just, like, threw in there, and not to mention, there's shades outside. Okay, so I do agree with that, like, not having shade is actually, like, kind of especially on summer for, mm, so in a sense, I do agree that there should be more shades, and they kinda, like, throw in, like, random tents all over the place, and I don't think that should have been the case right there, but too bother about it. Um, and I'm definitely not too bothered about Encanto show debuting, Epcot. At the end of the day, the parks aren't also made for kids, and kids love Encanto, like, I love Encanto, I'm okay with that, and, kids love singing to Encanto music, so that's not really a problem, and, I do believe that Encanto will have more, IP theme, like, attractions that are coming into this future. Um, now, like, the thing that people have been bashing about, the, uh, the showcase, dancers. So, like, I'm gonna put, like, World Showcase Dancers, and this is the show that people are kinda, like, uh, the World Celebration Gardens, featuring Mother Nature and her performers. Now, my question is, I'm a big fan of, like, Cypress Hill, and, people who are not fan of it obviously would bash it, pretty much frequently because, they consider this as more of a stripper type of show, but it's kind of insulting to say that the acrobats, performance as strippers, but that's just like saying like, "Oh, any ballet like, I think that's just kind of an ignorant claim right there, but I do agree on the part that, playing same music and doing one and the same performance every single day without changing, like, some kind of, like, a different performance could be, like, could stop, like, making people come back to watch this show, and I do agree on that part, but, um, you know, you have to understand, like, the increase of, Disney World's attendance has become more of how should I say this? Increased comparing to the pre-pandemic only because then, after pandemic, people moved over to Florida. They, purchased annual pass, so the increase of annual pass attendance, is equally to almost as high as people who buy, from different states or international, who buy tickets over, and then visit Disney World. So the attendance, like, kinda, like, stacked up together, and that increases more attendance. In this case, so kinda, like, pointing at annual pass people because, they go to the park almost every day or, especially, like, when it's not a busy day, so, like, they're gonna, like, witness all these shows, every day, and yeah, obviously they're gonna get bored out of it, you know, but the shows are not made for them. The shows are made for people who has actually never been to Disney World or barely go to Disney World, like, once a year or once every 2 years, once every years. It's made for that audience, right? To say that, "Oh, I'm bored of watching this," that's like saying you're bored of riding on Space Mountain or you're riding on, you know, Tron Light Cycle. That because you're going there every day. That's just how yeah, you're gonna get bored, yes, of course. Now, the next thing that I kinda wanna talk about is, like, I made a video about Zootopia, um, like, possibly coming to Disney World or California Disneyland, and, there's has been a big, Zootopia Land exhibit, that was that recently debuted at China Pavilion. Now, the reason why China Pavilion is actually, creating Zootopia, edition, 'cause I could assume, like, 2 things, is that they didn't really promote Zootopia Park into Disney World. That's, like, one of the goal right there, whether it's gonna be the 5th gate or whether it's gonna be, throwing Zootopia Land into, Hollywood Studios. Those would be the one pieces right there. I know that I made a point that, Zootopia Land might possibly them or, Magic Kingdom. The thing is that the more I think about, Zootopia being in Animal Kingdom seems very unlikely, uh, 'cause, yeah, they're animals, but at the same time, like, you know, living in a, humanoid world, that's I do agree that that's kinda urban, land with the humanoid technologies all over the animal, where animals are, just bipedal, walking, you know, creatures. I that doesn't seem, too Animal Kingdom-ish, yeah, and it starts to make sense a little bit, so I do agree that. And then should the Zootopia land actually come in, Hollywood Studios is a little bit more, uh, appropriated with it, how I would say it. So I would believe that, and, that would be the case of why they decided to put this up. And another case is Shanghai Disneyland's biggest pride is really their new addition, Zootopia Land. So many people have been attending this, and, for those who haven't actually seen Zootopia Land, feel free to, Google or YouTube search, 6 Miles Tall's, Shanghai Disneyland, Zootopia, and he did a whole recording of it. I actually brought this up in my, YouTube content video too, so you can take a look at it right there. Now, um, we I'm gonna, kinda, actually gonna talk about the Rock and Roller Coaster staring at us, but, um, Epcot has been being bashed way too much, and there are more Epcot bashings, than I can count, like Ratatouille's, section, but that's, discussion for another day, and I don't feel like, keep, bashing about, on putting negativity on Epcot way too much because I actually and I don't wanna get involved in that, of, putting more negative into this, park more than it needs to. And, but I will say, I think but I will bash, Epcot one thing more than the building and the park itself. That is related to the food quality. Um, I think the food quality has to improve within Epcot a lot more than it needs to be. Ever since the pandemic, I think the food quality has dropped down significantly, and that's how I do believe it. Um, it's I go to Japan Pavilion a lot all the time, and, uh, what is it? Katsura Grill, quality of food has become a lot worse than it needs to, and, a lot of food such as, like, curry, rice with, um, what is it, pork cutlet, that alone itself became watery, curry, and that's very disappointing. I don't think it's something that they need to fix that, like, I visit Kasuragura a lot, and all the foods, like, staff cast members who work in the back right there, I don't think they have any, like, I don't think there's any passion there, and that's the biggest concern, like, they don't care about, like, the quality of the foods anymore. And if somebody orders something, it's just like eating at, like, a fast food store that you would go to a regular mall and but it's like paying, like, extra 5 to $8 for it, and I don't think that should be, like, appropriate or it should be allowed. People are there, to eat good food. That should be the case. Another thing is my restaurant. I'm gonna laugh at you. Not really laugh at you, but it's yeah, I would if you're gonna eat Chinese food, or Disney World, at least go back to the store, just order do Chinese food delivery instead. It's not worth it, and if you really do wanna eat Asian foods, I know, as an Asian person myself, have so if that was the case, try to go into Shikisai or, what is it? Even, like, teppanyaki. I'm not a big fan of teppanyaki only because they offer me, fried rice, and that's just, like, one point that I have, and you have to understand that, teppanyaki and, Shikisai are not actually owned by Disney, but they're owned by a company, Mitsukoshi, and they need to move their policy a little bit. So let's kinda move on to the different topic. Um, since I haven't really received any questions, I'm just gonna, like, keep talking about, the next topics until, like, somebody asks questions. If you leave a question, I will answer, and that's just gonna be the case right there, okay? Uh, let's see. Let's kinda talk about Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith because this has been going ongoing problem for a while for me. Disney during Christmas time, 2023, I made a, G like, I made a reservation for Lightning Lane, and it broke down, and guest service gave me a refund for or at least with the apology fast pass too, and it didn't not work out as I wanted it to be, like, um, and, I don't know, like, I feel like there's something going on with this ride because I know that there has been some kind of, like, controversy, rumor that Aerosmith had kinda like a, issue with, publicly, and there's, like, a whole cancel culture thing going on or something like that, and, or, like, assuming that Aerosmith will replace with, like, cleaner I don't mind having clean, but at the same time, I don't think, like, they're gonna change it because it's such a popular ride, I don't think that will be the case. I think that if that was the case, this is gonna be another, drama that's gonna happen, within the park itself, and I just get tired of too much, negative energy and drama that's going on with the park itself. But that's just, like I'm just gonna go brief about that, and I'm gonna talk about Disney as well, 'cause that's a big game change, but at the same time, also double-edged sword is how I would call I mean, uh, multi-pass because it's not exactly what everyone wanted, but, but at the same time, they're happy because Genie Plus is no longer a you have to kinda understand the lane is like system itself and Genie Plus are both of them, like the biggest nightmare system that Disney has decided to do by discontinuing FastPass Plus. And the reason why FastPass Plus, people loved it so much is because it was like a, you know, free of charge, and if you ever booked within Disney resorts, such as the deluxe resort, you would get 3, plus, of your choice, and you can ride on, and now and then ever since Genie Plus became a thing, like, people didn't like the idea of, like, staring at your phone and, trying to get on ride almost every day. That the ability of the quality of life became, less of a more of a problem than being beneficial. Uh, and in a way, I do agree because, you can't just expect people to pay for $15 per person and then, and then wake up at 7 in the morning just to queue up, whatever ride that you need to ride on. That's just crazy. Um And it's not just like, plan ahead. It's just like you have to plan it on that day and you have to fight over everyone as if like you're trying to get like a sneaker from Nike, with a limited edition in the morning, and you have to fight with everyone else trying to get like who's gonna get the first place. I think that is pretty silly. Um, and Genie Plus has existed for like 2021. I wasted a lot of money on this because like there are half the time the Genie like I couldn't really use it because there's barely any slot. So if I were to, like, write something with the Genie Plus, I have to wait until, like, 7 PM on some of the rides because everyone fought. And last year during Christmas, like, weekend of, 2023, Genie Plus and Genie were all sold out. So, you know, for those who actually managed to have some of these ride reservations in the morning and have been going through it, you're in. But let's say that you paid for it and then you can't ride anything because they're all sold out. You're out of luck. You have to, like, try to take extra amount and try to convince, cast member or guest services to give you a refund because you couldn't, reserve any of the ride that day, you know? Um, yeah, but now this Lightning Lane market, the reason why this is a little bit of disaster is because, um, the Disneyland and the uh, Disney World are 2 different things. And hello, Simba, how you doing? See you here. But yeah, so back on the subject, Lightning Lane, this I don't know why they just, like, decided to do this. It's a nice change, compared to the Genie Plus, but they could have done a way better job than this because at the end of the day, like, you're still having an issue where, Guardians of the Galaxy, Constant Rewind, and Tron Lifecycle still being part of the virtual queue. And that's my question is, why do you need to have it as a virtual queue still? They should just open it all for everyone else by at this time. And I don't know what is exactly going on within the park management right now, but I feel like they're afraid that, like, the moment that they open it and no longer the virtual queue, and people might be in for a big disappointment that the ride might possibly break down, and then they can't ride it anymore. But, at the same time, like, the virtual queue is already doing virtual queue, and they're waiting on the line, then everyone keeps breaking down. So that doesn't change anything. Like, it still breaks so whether it's a virtual queue or not, it doesn't change anything, and it's just causing a more, congestion for other rides when it can be, a bet when they could just, like, and like balance at the park itself. Just read the that question. Are you excited for the new Switch successor? How about the Donkey Kong attraction in Super Nintendo World? So, the new Switch successor, we're not even I don't even know if, like, they're gonna call it Switch 2 or Switch Pro or, like, I'm just hoping that, you know, they don't change the Switch console completely where you have to change the game packs again and, you know, where you need to, like, repurchase all the old games that, you purchased from the, Switch shop, Nintendo shop. So that's I hope that, there's not too much of a change except the hardware change. I'm excited, but at the same time, like, I'm kinda concerned because if you think about it, like, when Iwata, announced Wii and then all of a sudden after, 3 years or something, he announced Switch, Wii U, the game, like, can barely function, from Wii to Wii U, and some of the games didn't even, run, not to mention, uh, that's also the reason why not a lot of people purchase a Wii U as well too, like, there's not enough storage hard drive inside this console, and the prices was just too expensive, games not functioning properly, and then all of a sudden, like, when Wii U switched to Switch, as you know, some of the games on Wii U are not even in Nintendo Store, and Nintendo Wii U is no longer on sale at any store, not even GameStop or pre-owned. So, if you wanna play, Zelda, Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD, you're kinda out of luck. So I'm hoping that, the Switch successor is not, changing everything completely, a lot I hope they allow you to play, Switch games and then, allow you to play, um, you know, like, Nintendo Shop games that are compatible Switch, and that's just my hope right there, and I'm hoping that they also do, um, allow you to play previous games such as, DS games or, 3DS, so, new successor, so you have Hi, Yui, how are you doing? Good to see you. Now, let's talk about, Donkey Kong attraction, 'cause I'm actually excited. I'm really excited about the Donkey attraction. I think it's a big like, you have to, understand that this, Donkey Kong attraction in the Super Nintendo world, it's not really Japan, it's not really out in, Hollywood, so, I feel like Epic Universe is getting its, own, first taste of the new, ride comparing and, the way that the coaster is made is really amazing. I think it's, the level of, Hagrid's, adventure, and that itself is, Universal's, big step up comparing to, Disney World. Now, I'm not saying that Disney World is, bad at making roller coasters because Disney World is, they made their innovate coaster called Omni Mover. They used the, Cosmic Rewind Omni Mover into a roller coaster. I think that is also very, um, different innovation of that, but, to make it seem like you're detached from the roller coaster wheels and then make it into, a mountain as if you're, skipping into another road, I think that's pretty cool. There's I'm not gonna lie, that's just pretty cool the way they designed that ride. Um, hoping they go to the iPhone App Store road and keep your games there going forward. Yeah, um, you know what, that's the biggest important part of it. I want the game companies to make it feel like you own the game, even digitally, instead of, like, where you have to purchasing the same type of game over and over again. Um, and that's, like, my biggest hope right there too. It's like, you won't I bought so many games on Steam, like, for example. I have a lot of games, and then all of a sudden, let's say that, like, Steam changes the whole, like, app right there called Steam, and they tell you that, "Oh, because it's a Steam 2 engine, we can't all the games that you used on Steam previously, if you if they tell you that you can't, use play the old games anymore and you have to repurchase them, you know how outrageous, people are gonna be?" That was, like, one of the biggest that Sony had before. The Sony, basically tried to apologize in a way of going from, "Okay, we apologize. We'll make it into PlayStation Now where you can play PlayStation 3 games." Not what people wanted, and also PlayStation Now was a big scam back in the days where you had to pay $60 per month just to play PlayStation 3 game, and not only that, they it's not even like that you own the game, you're renting the game for a short period of time, and you can only, transfer save files, as long as you're subscribed to PlayStation Now. Why would you do that? You already purchased all these games, but they don't want you to play it on, like, a new console, so they you repurchase the subscription base and then tell you that you don't own those games. I don't want that to happen. Like Seymour Duck says, like, when you go to the App Store, you purchase a game, you keep your game, end the story. There's there's no reason for you to not, you know, be able to keep the games. It has to, you know, once you own the game, you own the game, end the story. And that should be the same case for Nintendo as well too. But yeah, um, like Nintendo, is one of those practices that had an issue when it comes down to, like, not allowing you to keep the games, but at the same time, I don't know, because I keep remembering myself that I had to repurchase all these games, from Wii U to Switch, and, that was a nightmare, um, and Nintendo 3DS was also another thing too. When they region locked Nintendo 3DS, I bought some of the games in Japanese version, and they told me that because there's region lock, I purchase it certain games in English, and we also purchased English version of the 3DS, and that alone itself was, like, pretty nightmare. Like, I don't know, like, I don't understand these, like, game markets, man, like, it's just, like, I half the time, I feel like the whole digital, digital, purchase markets for video games are just, like, a bunch of robberies, in my personal opinion, and I'm kinda worried for the future of Steam as well too, because, like, all these games that own, they like, Steam can't just be like, "Okay, we're shutting it down, could never re-own these games again," or, like, we need to back it up. That's my biggest, concern. Uh, yeah, so I guess I was kinda saying a little bit off, so now let's kind of, like, talk about Star Wars, um, because I know that, Star Wars has become, like, the biggest, controversial topic ever since the Acolyte was, like, released, and that's just, like, another train wreck as well too. Um, so here's my opinion about, The Acolyte. For me, I'm actually enjoying the series. Like, is it a perfect show? No, it's not. Is it a fun to watch? Yes. Does that mean that I have to hate it? No, I don't have to hate it. But, like, here's also another thing. I actually was, like, having, like, a mild argument with my friend, on Discord, 'cause he felt that he didn't like Acolyte as much as, comparing to me. I asked him why, and he feels that the writing quality was very weak as comparing to Andor and or Rogue One. And I have to understand, like, everyone knows that Andor is, like, the number 1 story, and Rand is the next one, but I don't how long are we gonna actually, like, keep bringing him Andor? I have no idea. I'm gonna assume that once, like, some series actually, like, reaches the point of that is as good as Andor, I think it's, like, people stop talking about it, but, Star Wars drama has always been, just here's what my opinion is, people keep complaining that Disney Star Wars, uh, has always been a problem. I kinda disagree because I believe this, before Disney Star Wars, the Star Wars movie has always been toxic when the prequel was out. And, some people are going, "No, that that's not true." It is kinda true because Phantom Menace came out, people bullied the hell out of Jake Lloyd, like, fellow kids in the school bullied the heck out of him because the kids felt the kids at the school, the parents were, like, also into Star Wars, so the kids and the parents, like, started bullying the kid, and you bully the child actor to a point that he started getting schizophrenic, has, like, become, like, mentally ill, and then now he's, like, became, like, you know, um, drug addict and also, getting arrested frequently. Yeah, I think, if it wasn't for fans, that wouldn't happen, but, Jar Jar Binks, actor, Ahmed Best, also nearly tried to kill himself because people harassed him, death threatened him. So that was, like, a case of right there. And, Hayden Christensen didn't really talk too much about, why he's not playing, involved in Star Wars. I do believe that, he had, harassment. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he did have those severe harassments before, and he didn't wanna speak out about it because, he respects everyone's opinions and, the guy is a very nice person, it seems like. And, but at the same time, like, the whole disaster of the first 3 episodes, the prequel of trilogy, uh, was, like, a biggest, nasty comments and, nasty reviews and by, so-called Star Wars purists, and that was pretty dramatic. Then all of a sudden, a new opponent appeared, and that is also known as, Disney Star Wars, and that's what people to hate Disney Star Wars even more, and they also got Dis hate people to hate Disney more. And, and I don't think that, the Acolyte is the cause of causing, people to hate Star Wars and Disney more. That, I think that kinda, hatred for Star Wars Disney kinda started even the moment that it was, the moment that, George Lucas sold the franchise to, Disney, eh, Lucasfilm and Disney, announced that the whole EU novels were not gonna be considered as canon. I think that's what people really didn't need. Um, you know, my opinion is this: no matter what the change is, we all love Star Wars. That is, the biggest importance, and when they changed it, you know first kinda bothered me a little bit, but at the same time, I understand why they changed it because, like, after I played, Star Wars Force Unleashed, I felt that the story quality was not as good as, I expect I wanted it to be. And, some of the, like, the video game storyline within Lucasfilm before Disney took over were not as, like, strongly written. That's just my opinion. Mm. And some of the lores and stories, there were a lot of, missing gaps that were never was, my biggest issue that I had. Uh, yeah, you know, and then this, Acolyte, when they announced that, certain, like, Jedi Master age not being actually canonically, like, revealed, it was all just, like, kind of assumed, age right there, so that was also, like, one of the things that people were upset about, but I have a feeling that, like, you know, think if it was like a non-Disney Star Wars, just like George Lucas, I don't think people would have really cared. Because it is Disney Star Wars, people cared, and that's just my opinion. And, I think that's what's like, at the end of the day, people are just going to, match whatever because it's like Disney, second, like, Star Wars owned by Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not saying that Kathleen Kennedy is, like, the best CEO of the Lucasfilm, she has her flaws. Kinda, like, didn't do so well for Indiana Jones, the final movie, and, her direction of, like, what she did in Lucasfilm is not actually, like, in the best interest for all the Star Wars fans, so I think that's what's causing a lot of, hot toxic, community and both sides. I'm not saying that one side is, like, innocent, but, it's kinda technically both sides. Like, try to make it political is also technically considered as toxic too, so hoping that it's, like, eventually gets fixed. And now for, the latest episodes of probably one of the best episodes that I've seen so far from Acolyte. I'm not saying the episode 1 through 4 were actually, like, the best. I enjoyed watching it, but it doesn't mean that they're really good. Watching and enjoying it is perfectly fine. Assuming and guessing is perfectly fine, but, like, is it, like, the best? No. I I disagree with that. Um, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Like, for episode 5, I know that, certain content creators decide to bring up, like, the hair cutting is a problem of the episode 5. It's a little bit silly to say that, like, cutting hair, like, awkwardly, suddenly makes it's like it's like, that makes no sense. Is it awkward? Yeah. Is it does it make the episode bad? No. The episode 5's main focus was the fighting. It was fighting, like, by the end of episode 4, you see Premiere, like, blowing everyone away, ready to fight. The whole episode was about fighting. People deny that, and, some of the dialogues that, like, Premiere actually says, "Oh, I am what you call Sith." He didn't really say he's a Sith. Also, at the same time, like, there has been some, like, quote, confirmation by, Manny Jacinto that Premiere is a Sith Lord. There has been some words of that going around that says that Manny Jacinto kinda, like, says a lot of things, but it's not actually 100% true. So we're not exactly sure because at the end of the, episode 5 episode, like, Premier actually walks over to, identity switched, Osha, who's unconscious, and, Kylo Ren's theme played, and a lot of people were, like, kinda wondering, could it be the first case of, like, Knights of Ren or, like, maybe a predecessor of Ren? There's a lot of, like, speculation, and what I love these speculations because it gets me to, like, discuss something nice, and, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, like, I'm gonna boycott Disney, like, this, like, episode is trash, or this show is trash, blah, 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 blah," and, you know, at the end of the day, you just sit down and watch, these shows, kinda contradicting yourself, and, like, you don't like Disney Star Wars, and you're boycotting it, but at the same time, you're kinda, like, sitting down and watching the whole episode, or you have to watch it a second time or third time because you're getting paid for it. But at the end of the day, you're giving the viewer count, like, fully. That alone itself is already, like, contradicting yourself, like, feeding Disney to get what they you're saying that you hate Disney, but at the same time, you're watching all these shows. You're giving that, like, benefit of the doubt. Sir? Hi, Miss Peppers, how are you doing? Good to see you. Welcome aboard. Now, so back on the subject, like, this Star Wars, has kind of been like, like, if you don't like watching, you shouldn't be watching it at all. It's the same situation that I had with, I'm a big Gundam fan, so, like, for example, if I don't like certain show, I don't watch it. Like, for example, Gundam Age, I haven't watched it at all because after watching, like, first 2 to 3 episodes, I just kind of, like, accepted the idea that it's not gonna be good. I didn't like it, so I just stopped watching it. And I stopped watching, like, having part of the watch view count. But even if I do that I have to get paid to create content to watch videos, no, I don't have to watch it to create, content to do that. It's just like I can just go watch something else and, enjoy myself and then write and make a content video of that instead. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that I have to watch this to get paid. Nobody's nobody's asking you to do anything. Like, um, what is it? Like, for example, I genuinely didn't like My Little Pony. Everyone else did. And I know some person, like, doesn't even make contents, but he just kinda, like, he says that forces himself to watch it. Why would you do that? You're not making content. You're just, you know, the the stream video to make you think that you're actually watching it and you're giving money to them. That's that shouldn't be the case. Now, all these Netflix, shows that has been canceling, like, such as, like, Cowboy Bebop or, Resident Evil remake, I've actually watched all of those myself. Why? Because I was curious. I didn't have to watch it. No, I'm not a brony. I'm not a brony. All my friends were big bronies, at the time when I was in college. Not a big brony. But, yeah, so back on the subject, Resident Evil, Netflix was probably one of the worst, show that I actually witnessed. I actually ended up watching throughout the whole season because I was really bored, and, I thought it was, like, absolute garbage. At the end of the day, I gave them the count of the video views, so it should have counted in, but it turns out they canceled the season and series completely. Why? Because it's like I may have watched it, but people have kinda, like, given up on the middle of the show and just, like and then the view count just completely dropped down. Meanwhile, the Acolyte, on the other hand, the view count just, like, skyrocketed because everyone's watching it, and, you kinda have to understand, like, oh, it's, like, as bad as it is, the Rotten Tomatoes, audience, score of 14%, people would not be watching it, the view count would be going down like, every week, but instead, the view counts keep going up and up and up. It's it doesn't make sense if this show is 14% audience score that people are trashing on, people are you should have a benefit of the doubt that you should not be watching it, and then you, like, let the view count down, but that's not the case, it's going up, and I have a feeling that, people who don't go on social media and, like, follow these, like, Twitter or Facebook don't really care about your opinions, and they're just watching it because it's there, and because they love Star Wars. That's just, like, the general factor. You may hate Disney Star Wars, but you're still watching it. You're still kinda watching it. Are curious of what how it's gonna turn out, and yeah, at the end of the episode, you may say, "Ah, it's still trash, I'm never watching it again," but the next week, you're still watching it. You're giving them the count. So you can't say that the Disney is failing or flopping every shows because you're watching it. Like, for example, Wish movie did a horrible job at the box office, but at the highest view rates on Disney Plus, more than they expected, and that alone itself is showing that, like, people still ended up watching it. Yeah, so how many times are you gonna say, I'm not gonna watch Star Wars," but you still end up watching it. So it's like it's kind of funny because how, like, it seems like Star Wars viewing count is a lot higher than, MCU, in my personal opinion. The reason why the She-Hulk was canceled because the view count actually dropped down significantly. People just actually stopped watching it. But in a case for Star Wars, like, such as Ahsoka and, um, like, what is it, The Acolyte, people are watching it. You may hate it, you're still watching it because you're curious. And the fan base of Star Wars is so ever strong, whether you're a hater or a lover, and that is, like, compared to, Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's just my opinion on it because, if this didn't work out, Lucasfilm would have just, like, dropped down the project and just canceled because they know that you're gonna watch it. They're just kinda keep throwing in that project right there. It is a very smart tactic because they know, like, what the audience is gonna go for. So about that, so I'm gonna, like, pr change a different topic, like, because I already just made a point about Star Wars. I think the Star Wars is, despite the fact that they're changing a lot of lore and everything, and people are trashing on it, um, that's not gonna change, them to, like, cancel Star Wars completely. It They're getting way too much money on this, so, they're not really that concerned. If you really don't like Disney Star Wars at all, then you have to, like, stop watching it, and you have to actually stop, like, paying attention to it. That's just how it is. You can't just, like, tweet almost every day, "I'm done with Star Wars," and then the next week is like, "I'm done with Star Wars again," and the third week, you're like, "I'm really, really done with Star Wars." It's like a kinda repetitive of, like, like a supervillain who, like, keeps coming back and says, "Oh, I'll get you next time, Gadget." It's the same thing right there. Um, so the next thing that I kinda wanna talk about is, uh, I know that Seymour Duck and, you know, Disney George and OG55 were have been, like, kind of covering this video, uh, with the hiring Disney's, hiring practice allegedly hiring practice, obviously, that is, illegally recorded by a conservative, content creator and, like, trying to reveal that Disney's this is actually done it through racism and, bigotry and, like, discrimination. So, I don't know what this guy's problem is, and my first opinion about this guy is I find him to be an extreme fraud. That that's just how it is. Like, the moment that I started try to watch the first, 10 minutes of the video of Disney, right before that, he was promoting a video of himself, that he is selling a case of medicines that were not prescribed by a doctor, but full of antibiotics. So, he's calling it like a, quote, "pandemic kit" kinda thing. And, like, if you're ever sick and, you don't trust doctors, here's some medicines that you can try, eat. How the hell am I gonna trust a media journalist who got fired and discredited numerous times? Not only tells me that I have to buy $100 case full of, antibiotics that was not prescribed by doctor or FDA. Are you out of your mind, man? Like, I'm not a MD, but, you know, I'm pretty sure that's, pretty illegal. I'm pretty sure that's also, like, something that should happen to somebody who actually some idiot who actually purchased it and tries it out because he doesn't wanna get medication from the doctor. You know how dangerous that is? Yeah. I wouldn't trust that guy. So, like, the first 10 minutes, I was like, "Okay, this guy's done. I'm not gonna, like I'm just gonna hear one side of it and let that audio, like, come out of my other side of it." I don't think the general audience even cares what that guy is saying. Inside Out 2 is still getting tremendous box office numbers. Yes, yes. For a sequel, for a Pixar sequel to have a tremendous box office number is a big deal. It's not even like a IP launch. It's a IP sequel, and it's about to get a 1,000,000,000 box office. We haven't had that since Frozen 2, and that alone itself is a pretty big deal. And also, we haven't had that since, Toy Story 4 as well too, actually, now that I think about it. And this is, like, after, the original, Pixar director, what's Lasseter, yeah, yeah, Lasseter. He was John Lasseter ever since John Lasseter left the office, Pixar has not had a very positive box office since then. And, with John Lasseter, with Inside Out 2, like, this off box office is getting a tremendous counts, man. Like, it's who would have thought? Before Inside Out 2 came out, people were saying like, "Oh, like, this is like LGBTQ, it's woke, it's gonna flop." Yeah, man. Did it flop? 1,000,000,000? Did it flop, man? No, it didn't flop. It did not, man. You know what flopping is? It's like you spend $500,000,000 and then you only earning $50,000,000. That's this is kind of flop. Like, Disney is doing perfectly fine when it comes down to, like, the movies right now, and I can assure you that, um, Mufasa is going to do well. Why? Lion King live action was, pure trash. That's just me my opinion, but pure trash. But at the same time, Lion King live action had a very big box office for for what it provided. So, Mufasa, it seems like Mufasa, the first, like, couple of first trailer impression, my impression of that was, like, I think it fixed the problem that Lion King was having. That was my first impression. So, I'm looking forward to that, and, I think Mufasa is gonna do pretty well, um, comparing to Little Mermaid and whatnot, and also, Moana 2, I think it will do very well as well too, and I know a lot of people are saying that Moana 2 is actually directed by somebody with no director background, and I'm pretty sure Moana 2, do you need to have somebody with, like, a very famous director background to actually have a good, storyteller? I don't think so. I think that's a little bit, like, kinda projecting and stretching, man. Like, you can be a new I'm gonna put it as an example. Um, you know, what's his name? Thor Ragnarok director. Um, he Taika Waititi, he had no actual experience with Marvel Cinematic Universe knowledge on it. He just directed, and, Thor Ragnarok was one of the best, Thor movie that I've ever watched, and it was very successful too. Obviously, the Love and Thunder was not exactly, live it to his name, but, Taika Waititi was very good. Yeah, and, you don't necessarily have to be, like, good have a good director background to make a good movie. Because if you think about it, um, the what is it, Terminator movie, right after, Terminator, like, that was out by, James Cameron, the sequel, he didn't do so well in the very latest sequel that he did for, The Dark Fate or something like that. He James Cameron was not actually the director, but he was a producer, so which means that, James Cameron, like, looked over everything. He wanted to make sure that, "Okay, this is how you do it, this is how you do it." He wrote the story, so, it's kinda can't argue that, he was not involved. James Cameron was definitely involved. Thank you, Seymour, nice having you here, if I ever do live streaming, hope you can, be involved in it again. Thanks a lot. So, anyways, back on the subject. So, the Dark Fate was not so good. Um, and I think Moana 2 is gonna be, pretty fine. I'm pretty sure, everyone's gonna overlook the script, and they're gonna make sure that, it's not like a flop. And Bob Iger did say that he wants to go back to the quality over quantity, so, see what happens. Uh, Moana 2 comes out. I'm very excited for it. I actually love Moana, so, it's just like the big deal to me. And, let's see. Just letting you know, I will probably end the stream by, in 30 minutes. If you guys have any say something, great. Um, then, so one of the things that I actually do think that, like, this whole hiring practice, nonsense is just to, rattle the cage so that Disney, um, either stock can go down or people like to rile up the campaigns. boycott Disney, and it's like a conservative, pish posh, in my personal opinion. Whether it's a racist, campaign or not, I kinda do disagree, you know, like, for actors or because if you think about it, like, it's screenwriters or directors, majority of these, new Disney movies are still, white guy, you know, directing. It's not like, b colored people, and, one of the guy who actually was, like, leaked in the video was claiming that, Disney is secretly like, trying to find directors and, writers who are not white guys, but as far as I know, all of these, writers are actually white guys and the white guy directors. So it's kinda, like, crazy to say that they're not directing, you know? Um, like, they're hiring black directors. No, that's not the case. They're always hiring, like, either of those, race directors. They're not looking at, like, race, they're looking at quality, and, it's just insane, like, I don't understand why people would assume such things, and, you know, so the next, second part of the video is now, like, saying the opposite, saying that they're hiring white people, and, at least so which isn't, you know, this race or is it that race? Because at the end of the day, it's like it seems like like James O'Keefe is just, like, mixing up stories at this point, and, I'm not a big fan of that, you know? It just seems like, the people who were leaked in the video, they just have their own opinions, and now it's just being used as a weapon, as if, like, they're responsible for their opinion. But also at the same time, he is a, piece of crap because he just legitimately, like, illegally, recorded these videos of for these 2 gentlemen who's just there to, date with these ladies through a dating app who turned out to be a secret journalist and, in hiding. That's kinda, like, crazy. You're literally ruining their lives. Yeah, they're kinda crap too, like, those employees are crap too, but at the same time, you're the biggest crap one out of everyone. You're exposing them, but at the same time, you're exposing them without their consent. Now, as far as I'm concerned, California laws, you're not allowed to, like, secretly, record a conversation that they didn't consent to. So what you're doing is a very illegal thing to do. Yes, hi, Slimer, nice to meet you. I'm glad to see you, stopping by. Hope your work is going great, though. But yeah, on the back on the subject, it's crazy, man. Like, you can't just like illegally record him especially at a California state. Uh, I don't know, like if he had any certain like thoughts in his mind that this would be like a the safest attempt. Like, I don't know, like what he had in his mind. Like, did he think that he's gonna get away with it, or like if he thinks that like, oh, like, I'm gonna say something, like, I'm gonna do something to get everyone riled up and, like, try to gain attention, but is this, like, worth it if the Disney, like, decides to, like, throw a lawsuit at him for illegally recording a conversation that, you know, um, that is not even true? So, like, he could if that recruitment is not true, then the defamation lawsuit is one thing, but illegally recording is another thing, and that's just, like, kinda stacking up. And this is the very same guy who got fired last year for doing, by his own board members for doing, trying to expose, like, something illegal in the post office and trying to get that employee of the post office in big trouble within the union department. So this is the same guy, like, who did something stupid and then ended up, like, getting kicked by he's the founder, he just got kicked out by his own board members. You understand? Like, this is the guy that who doesn't really think very carefully, and this guy just, like, hired some, like, secret agent journalist, that lady, so to go as a like, a dating act in disguise, and then like, costing these 2 gentlemen's lives. I don't agree with that. Even if it's like, a practice is, of, employment practice is wrong or not, they're not consenting to whistleblow. They're not consenting to whistleblow, and that is the biggest problem. They're le they're just kinda, like, explaining their jobs and their, like, the company's, like, information. They're dumb too, like, if I was, like, a vice president or some kinda like a director of this, like, multi-billionaire company, I wouldn't actually like, and I'm meeting some girl that I like, even if it's, like, a 1 or 2 or 3 times, like, on a dating app. I met this girl 3 times, so, like, we're getting really friendly and everything. No, that should not still be the case that you should talk about your, you know, companies, like, how the hiring practice goes or whatever. You shouldn't even, like, say that on your bed, or you shouldn't even say that, like, to your kids. That's your business and your business, in your appointments alone, and that is what the problem is. These 2 employees are very stupid, but, who got manipulated by a stupider person, and they don't understand what they just did. Now, because they did the stupidest thing, now, let's say that they got fired from Disney, when and trying to get employed somewhere else. They're not gonna get employed, you know why? Because because all these employers already know what this news is now. The news is all over the news about, like, Disney's alleged, like, hiring practice goes, even though it may not be 100% true or not, but regardless of what it is, they kinda, like, leak the information of the company to somebody that they don't know through dating, and they know that these people are gonna just, like, say whatever they want to say, like, to anybody that they just meet. So they're not gonna get hired in the very future. They just kinda, like, ruin their own lives. R Originally they ruined their lives that was manipulated and ruined by a very stupid person. And, James Gandolfini is also gonna, be as stupid as Alex Jones, in my personal opinion, because he legitimately went to California State, and at a very state that he is not allowed to illegally record without their consent. So him actually going around the places and it says, like, "Hey, I'm gonna record you. Let me ask you about, like, company information," like, to random, like, employees who just get, like, out for lunch. He didn't even ask them, "Hey, can I record you and ask you these questions?" No, he didn't do that. He legitimately just, like, kinda walked up, "Hey, do you know anything about the company? Tell me something." And that alone itself is, like, he's already contradicting himself a lot. And then if Disney actually wants to, like, put a lawsuit on him, James Gunn might actually lose this point. Okay, "Hey, hey, freedom of speech, freedom of press?" No, that's not the case in this situation. They can you know, those kinda, freedom of speech and press is you may have a freedom of speech and you may have freedom of press, but you don't have the right to secretly record and then reveal it to the public, uh, at a state that doesn't allow you to do that without their consent. So, at the end of the day, Disney actually most likely the Disney would win, and, James would keep might get canceled. But at the same time, like, would that favor Disney a lot? Not exactly, but, at the end of the day, the Disney is getting lost and lost, but it doesn't mean the company's falling apart. They're gonna, like, try to do whatever it takes to, like, rip it out of him, in the future, maybe, um, uh, but as of right now, with 0 response from Disney, I don't think they even care about what's going on, or at least figures like, just brush it off. Don't worry about it. Like, we got too many things to worry about, like, not gonna have some, like, propaganda journalists, like, trying to, like, what's the company. You're doing fine. That I think that's the response that he's having right now, and, whether or not, like, I don't think at this point, like, Disney is, like, not even caring of, um, what's going on, like, at this point, they're just like, let's focus on what's more important, the parks, the movies, we don't have to, like, worry or at least they're gonna probably like a public relations to see what the next action is gonna be. But, so the next discussion that I kinda wanna talk about is, let's see, hmm, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop it down so I can, like, kinda answer. Yeah, I kinda, like, ranted out a little bit and covered a majority of the stuff as of right now, so, um, for the TV show wise, I haven't actually watched, The Bear yet. Uh, that's the thing that I'm, like, in my list, and, uh, I love cooking, so The Bear is, like, seems very fun, and, mm, excuse me. Alright, just about, August, I'm supposed to be, going to D23 Expo, and I'll be, like, meeting a couple of cool people over there, and then we'll probably do, like, some couple of streams, I guess, I'm actually looking forward to it. It's my first D23, and, I'm hoping that, as the Josh D'Amaro says, he says that it's gonna be the biggest, project ever, so like, the biggest presentation ever, so I look forward to it, man, Josh. Um, but at the same time, Josh, my man, you kinda, like, said this is gonna happen, that is gonna happen, and then, like, don't really present it fully to me, so that I'm just kinda disappointed about that. I hope that's not the case in the future. And, the next, part is I don't know, for those people who actually play video games, I will be streaming a couple of, like, games this week, such as, Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail, and, I'm a big fan of the, Final Fantasy XIV for those who has never played Final Fantasy game, um, and, from that point on, I'll probably do, like, a question and answer through while playing, Dawntrail for the time being, and then we'll go from there. And so the next stream, will be doing more like a giveaway campaigns, like, Disney, badges or even some of, like, collectibles, and I'm hoping that, if you happen to kinda, like, watching my show right today, it's just like I had a reminder, there will be more giveaways in the very distant future. It's just that, like, I'm kinda nervous because this was actually my first, live stream show that I gone up all the way up to, like, an hour and 30 right now, so, l not counting the first 15 minutes of me talking to myself, where I muted my mic, so I do apologize for that, I feel really embarrassed about that, yeah. Uh, so for those who happen, like, kinda, like, following me on, Twitter X, um, always feel free to, like, reach me out if you're interested in certain, like, parks or TV shows or movies. And, I love, like, answering questions, and it's my honor of, like, having you as a fan or following up my content. Uh, I'll be, like, talking more about, the Acolyte shows, eventually, and then I also wanna kinda talk about, like, other TV shows such as, other Disney Plus shows that I've been watching, as well as, Korean dramas, and, tonight, I'm supposed to, discuss Dexter, for the podcast. I'm a big fan of Dexter, like, without a doubt. I've watched this show, like, like, 5 times already, and, finally getting to, like, talk about it with people who are interested, so I'm very excited, and, for those people who might be watching Cobra Kai, um, I'm gonna be talking about Cobra Kai as well for the final season, which is gonna be split into 3, so I'm very excited for that. It's the final season. I watched Cobra Kai also. This was my 4th time actually watching the whole seasons, and, it's, like, kinda, like, emotional for me because I've enjoyed Karate Kid, since Little 1 through 3, including the next Karate Kid, and then, kinda interesting. I didn't actually, like, watch Cobra Kai, like, during the launch of the season because I didn't think that I'd be getting into it, and I didn't wanna pay for YouTube Premium or subscribing to watch that show, and eventually, by the time, like, the season 3 came out, I decided to marathon it, and the moment that I started watching, I was very mind-blown about how good the show was. I'm hoping that, in the distant future, like, there will be Cobra Kai sequels, you know, I'm dis disappointed that Hillary Swank didn't get involved in the show, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the last season. Big thing, big project. Um, oh, hi, nice to see you around. Kinda missed the whole discussion about me, like, just bashing, the leak video, James O'Keefe. I actually was kinda, like, bashing him throughout the whole, past 15 minutes. But, yeah, as of right now, like, oh, just about 20 more minutes of screen time, but if there's any other questions or want to discuss about something, I can feel free to answer or talk about it. But, s yeah, but as of right now, like, when it comes down to, like, Disney World, um, I guess, like, this whole $17 billion project, uh, better be something big, and it's not just like I just hope that it's not just Animal Kingdom, project that they're gonna extend it up to, like, the Coco, Encanto, as well as Indiana Jones. I hope that's not just the only thing they're gonna add in. I hope, with that whole Zootopia exhibition that was going on, I'm hoping that's, like, some kind of, like, big hidden hint that they're gonna add that park, somewhere within the Disney World park, and my money's on Disney Hollywood Studios at this point. I'm not you know, the park does need some, like, a quality control improvement. Um, I do hope that, like, Tiana's Bio Adventures, like, stops, like, breaking down, and, I hope my money is right on the fact that, they just only I hope that they didn't just only replace the exterior of, like, the animatronics and, like, the decorations, but also I do hope that they notice that they messed up really big on the circuits, interior circuits, and, replace them, either replacing them or either they I hope that they, like, fix the whole interior parts to make sure that the new is functioning. I I kinda, like, brought it up right there, because, animatronics, over there, the new ones doesn't seem to function very well because I don't think it's very compatible with the old parts. Splash I think that is the really big case. That's just my assumption. I feel like they just, like, kinda, like, replace the exterior, and, I hope that's the case, and they'll figure out how to fix that so that, it doesn't break down every time people keep bashing on it. Um, and then lastly, I'm not sure what else to talk about because, I feel like I'm throwing a lot of, like, this, topics within the past an hour and 40 minutes and talking to myself too, so, uh, and also, like, I will suggest, like, be sure to, follow, the certain individuals on Livestream. Be sure to follow Orange Girl 55 on YouTube, and he is also on, Twitter X. Also follow, Mr. C Duck on X and Twitter. They're great people, as well as Slimer. And then, as I mentioned before, also follow Six Miles for the and watch his, video on the Zootopia park and Shanghai Disneyland for any more details on, like, what the park actually feel like, if should they be brought on to, Disneyland or Disney World, okay? Uh, since it's, like, 45 and I have no to discuss about, like, and the questions have been kinda like, um, there's not enough questions as of right now, and we'll probably put an end to this, for the stream for today. I'll probably continue doing a lot more, um, in the future. Thank you for joining, and for those who have not actually following me and you're actually watching me, be sure to go on x.com/it's like the label right there. And, be sure to, follow and like and subscribe this, live stream video, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.